History of Lebanon Municipal Airport. Lebanon Municipal Airport is an airport that belongs to the city of Lebanon, New Hampshire. The airport is a public-use airport and is about 3 miles or 6 kilometers west of downtown Lebanon. It is located in Grafton County, New Hampshire. New Hampshire currently has 3 airports it uses for passenger services. These are Lebanon Municipal Airport in West Lebanon, New Hampshire, Manchester-Boston Regional Airport in Manchester, New Hampshire, and Portsmouth International Airport at Pease in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Out of the 3 main airports of the state, Lebanon is the furthest northern airport to have passenger airline service and also is the smallest airport by both size and passenger travel. It is located near the Vermont border just off of I-89. In recent years, the airport has found itself struggling against competition from the 2 other major airports in the state. Currently, only one airline offers service here, which is Cape Air, and it connects Lebanon to Boston, Massachusetts, and White Plains, New York. This airline service began at Lebanon Municipal Airport in 2008. In 1941, the town of Lebanon held a special town meeting, and during this, it was agreed that the selectmen of the town would purchase 750 acres of land on a mountain known as Slack Hill. The airport was finished by 1942, and from 1942 until 1944, the airport was taken over and owned by the United States federal government. However, the government had little use for the small local airport, and on June 1, 1944, handed the airport over to the city government of Lebanon in exchange for promising that the United States federal government would keep full rights of the airport for at least the next 20 years. As World War II drew to a close, a famous veteran aviator and ace, Sumner Atherton, created Connecticut Valley Airways, and in 1947 he successfully bid for a 20-year lease at the airport. In 1950, Sumner even became the airport's new manager. He served in this position until 1969, a total of 19 years. During his time as the airport manager, he oversaw significant expansion of the airport and the building of new facilities, and by doing so, he helped bring significant improvement to the New Hampshire aviation sector. In 1948, Northeast Airlines began scheduled passenger service at the airport using a Douglas DC-3. Lebanon Municipal Airport would become a link on a New York City, Lebanon to Montreal route. This route paid off so well that by the next year, 1949, Northeast Airlines decided to expand the service, and the route would now be New York City to Hartford, Connecticut, to Keene, New Hampshire, to Lebanon, New Hampshire, to Montpelier, Vermont, to Burlington, Vermont, to Montreal, Canada. Within 5 years, by 1954, Lebanon had counted 8,000 enplanements thanks to Northeast's lucrative service, and Lebanon in turn becoming an important link in the Northeast aviation sector. In 1955, Northeast began nonstop passenger service from Lebanon to Boston, Massachusetts, and Burlington, Vermont, as well as Montreal, Canada, and New York City, New York. The flights to Boston were $16.30. Flights to Burlington were $11.30. Flights to Montreal were $20.30, and flights to New York were $30.60. In 1964, Northeast replaced the Douglas DC-3 on the New York City routes with a Douglas DC-6B, and in 1969, Fairchild-Hiller FH-277s were added. By this time, Northeast had scheduled 10 flights per day from the airport. In 1972, Northeast Airlines went bankrupt and was bought up by merge with Delta Airlines, who kept the lucrative routes from the airport alive and even increasing daily flights to 15 and adding additional New York City flights. In 1973, the airport for the first time began experiencing problems with rivalries from other airports as Delta Airlines introduced their first jetliner service at the nearby Keene Airport using a McDonnell Douglas DC-930. However, Lebanon never saw jetliner service. 2 years later, Delta Airlines suspended all services at Lebanon Municipal Airport as it no longer was a lucrative airport, as the modern jetliner routes, who could offer more comfortable and quicker flights, sold significantly better than Delta's turboprop service from Lebanon using Fairchild-Hiller FH-277s. As Delta suspended flight service, Air New England began servicing the airport in 1975. Air New England offered nonstop services to both Boston, Massachusetts, and Montpelier, Vermont. using Beechcraft 99s, de Havilland Canada DH-6 Twin Otters, and Fairchild Hiller FH-277 aircrafts. Later that year, it also opened a Lebanon, New Hampshire to Keene, New Hampshire to New York LaGuardia Airport route. By 1976, Air New England was operating 14 flights a day from Lebanon. This service continued until 1981, when Air New England was forced to cease all operations as it went bankrupt. For almost an entire year, there were no scheduled services from Lebanon. Then in 1982, Allegheny Airways began services to Boston via Lebanon and offered non-stop routes to and from the airport. Allegheny Airlines changed their name to U.S. Airways in 1997. In 1999, upon U.S. Airways acquiring Colgan Air, it leased the services to Boston to Colgan Air, and beginning in 1999, Colgan Air operated non-stop services to and from Boston using the U.S. Airways Express name. From 1999 until 2008, U.S. Airways services made less and less income until in 2007 flights became non-profitable. By 2008, it was decided that U.S. Airways would cease operations at Lebanon Municipal Airport. The airport was once again without an active operator for a few months, when in the summer of 2008, a small New England airline called Cape Air began services at the airport with a once daily flight to and from Boston, Massachusetts. These flights were commenced using Cessna 402C aircraft. Due to these planes being smaller and only capable of carrying a maximum of 9 passengers per flight, these flights paid off. Soon, Cape Air announced 2 daily flights to and from Boston. By 2010, there were 3 daily flights back and forth. In 2011, Cape Air decided to expand services by adding additional destination connecting Lebanon to Westchester County Airport in White Plains, New York. In recent years, it was decided to up the number of the daily Boston flights to 4 flights per day. Today, Cape Air connects Lebanon to Boston 4 times per day and connects to White Plains 3 times per day. Cape Air has even upgraded its aircraft at the airport and now offers a mix of service using Cessna 402C aircraft as well as the newer Tecnam P2012 Traveler aircraft on both routes. Today, Lebanon Municipal Airport covers an area of 563 acres in total and has 4 runways, which are runway 7 and 25, which are 5,496 feet long, and runways 18 and 36, which are 5,200 feet long. There have been 2 accidents registered at Lebanon Municipal Airport in its entire history. In 1968, Northeast Airlines Flight 946 crashed into Moose Mountain about 10 miles away from the airport while on approach to Lebanon. It was later determined that there was a faulty beacon that caused the aircraft to go off course and fly into the mountain. There were 39 passengers, 2 pilots, and 1 flight attendant on board, for a total of 42 people. Of the 42 on board, 32 perished and only 10 survived. The second accident occurred in 1996 when a private Learjet 35 was on approach to the airport and set down at the airport too late and had to perform a go-around. The plane took back off and attempted to turn around and try to land again when suddenly the plane disappeared off the radars. This case remained cold for 3 years. Then finally in 1999, the Learjet's wreckage was discovered by a hiker who just happened to come across it. The Learjet crashed 20 miles northeast of the airport. The Learjet crashed into Smarts Mountain. The plane descended too quickly and the pilot, Johann Schwartz, failed to maintain situational awareness, causing the plane to crash into the trees and going down on the mountain. That covers this video. I want to thank all my viewers who have shown an interest in this topic and suggested I cover this topic on my channel since I love aviation. I hope you have found the history of the Lebanon Municipal Airport interesting. If you found this video interesting, please let me know and I'll consider covering other New Hampshire airports and their histories as well. Thank you all and see you next video.